and I founded the TackHack, which is Nordstrom Rack meets the Real Rail for the equestrian industry.
How does this business make money?
Historically, I've been running primarily on a consignment model and then steadily moving towards more of a liquidation model, which is where I want to be.
When did you launch this business?
I launched it in, the site launched in November of 2018.
Walk us through who would be your target customer.
Sure. So the US equestrian industry is about as large as the US golf industry in terms of impact on GDP. My customers are generating about $32 billion annually in goods and services. Horseback riding in the US is divided broadly into two segments. There's English and Western. So I focus on English. It's what I grew up with. It's what I know. It's the larger market. Our industry, sort of psychologically, we look up to a few people as sort of being lifestyle, sort of style setters for this space. It's Georgina Bloomberg, it's Jessica Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen's daughter, it's Steve Jobs' daughter, and it's Bill Gates' daughter. And those are sort of like the four glamour girls of our sport. Obviously, that is not very attainable for most people, for 99.9% of people. They are really setting the tone in terms of style and aspiration for the sport. My customer are folks who are passionate about riding. This is the thing that they love most in life. It's what they dream about. It's what they work for. Some of my customers work 2 jobs to be able to afford this sport. And they all want to feel like Georgina or Jessica in the saddle, but they don't have those funds. So they shop my site and are able to access some of the same brands that those girls wear, just at a discounted price.
What traction milestone are we celebrating for you?
So as of today, we are in mid-May nearly, and I'm celebrating 2 months in a row of 30+% growth month over month, which is crazy because this is 2020 and we are in the midst of COVID right now. So
walk us through, what were you doing differently, during this time of growth that you weren't doing, let's say, before?
Sure. So there were a couple of things in motion. First and foremost, I had decided to migrate the website. So the way my website should be set up, it's because I get a lot of onesie-twosie products in, whether it's from individual consigners or whether it's from my retailers or brands. Sometimes I get onesie-twosies in stock. So when you think about what that means operationally, like I really need to depend on a filtering system so that people can efficiently lock into all of the listings that I have on my website, filter down to well, what does she have in my size, or what does she have in my horse's size? Squarespace, which is where I originally built the site to save money, they don't have a filtering system. So I knew that I was going to have to build out a proper e-commerce website that had higher level functioning, filtering functionality. That project was in motion before COVID, and we actually launched that in April. So I'm now on Shopify, and it's night and day. My site is lightning fast, which is key because most of my people are shopping on mobile. I think I'm seeing an uptick just in terms of people staying on the site longer and seeing more pages before they click off, and my conversions are higher. The other thing that I am testing now in the midst of COVID that I wasn't doing before, I hadn't really touched Facebook ads or Instagram, any kind of social media advertising. I've been doing a slow drip on Google ads, since for the past year, but hadn't really invested in Instagram and Facebook because it was so expensive. But just reading broader retail industry news, I knew that those prices were dropping. Right now, I've got a customer acquisition cost of about $20 with average cart value of $120.
But given your CAC, that's a pretty amazing ROI. So walk us through what has worked really well in testing this channel.
Sure. So I want to be totally transparent. I really need to, I know I need to be doing more A/B testing. That's not something I've done a lot of. I'm still feel like I'm really at the early stages of understanding the power of this. But I had spoken to, just through my industry, had spoken to some people who have had success running ads. And so I basically copycatted what's been working for her in terms of targeting her audience, which is pretty much my audience. And I've been putting about $70 a day behind those ads. I've fiddled around with the price a little bit. Last week I was testing what if that was $30 a day? And it didn't seem to get any conversions, but that's sort of what's been working. It's just kind of reaching out and seeing, other people in my industry who do have the same, target segment, what's been working for them and trying to replicate it.
What would you say to a founder that wants to test out this traction channel that doesn't necessarily have access to someone who has that agency background?
I think testing much smaller amounts over 5 to 10 ads that you're running simultaneously, and seeing like, and when I say like different ads, I mean like, maybe you do like a cute, just sort of like awareness ad that's like a cute little stop motion video where you're, trying to like really impress people by like some cute graphic that you really sort of like stop and pause over when you're scrolling through Instagram or something like that. And maybe after that you do a carousel ad, and maybe the carousel ad has like 2 lifestyle images and then like 4 sort of product images. And then maybe your third test is that same carousel ad, but you swap some of the copy out, and maybe you focus on something like the best deals on your site at the moment, or you focus on a particular category and you see like, how does that compare to like, to how the other one is performing? And you can just kind of keep replicating with smaller dollar amounts to see, what is speaking to people, what isn't. I know, for example, like I've been testing a little bit with the lifestyle images to see like if it's just a pure carousel of product versus if there are like a couple of cute images in there, like what does that do to sort of like the overall conversion to the site, a click through to the site. And like there's a difference, like you can see.
What did you find in this process that wasn't working that you were like, nope, next thing?
Like right now, as we're recording this, the country is starting to open up again. And something that I saw last week, when I was testing that lower value ad, I was testing it over the weekend. Typically, I see a spike in, even when, like, remove any promotions. Like if I'm just like a normal day-to-day operation, I usually see a spike in sales on Saturdays. And so last week I decided, well, I'm going to test a lower value, just like a $30 a day ad spend ad. And I pushed it live on Friday. I saw nothing. And I kind of, like, who knows, right? Like, was it the dollar spend? Not sure, which is why that's something that I need to test again. But just kind of reading the tea leaves and kind of understanding where we are as a country, I think last weekend was sort of the first weekend where my customers were starting to come out of their houses and we're back at the barn.
And how can we support you in reaching your new traction goal?
I mean, I still keep going back to a lot of the Get Shit Done content, the Get Shit Done portal where we have a lot of the resources. I've just been kind of mining those to kind of make sure I'm organized about like how I'm structuring my data. I mean, I'm a first-time founder, so it's just figuring out my systems for tracking everything and like, how am I going to measure that? Alex knows this because when I was talking to her about Get Shit Done, when I was kind of interviewing for the accelerator, she was like, so what are you gonna do? Are you trying to raise money? And I was like, no, I'm bootstrapping this. Like, I don't know. I think I can just do this on my own, blah, blah, blah. That was a different time and a different economy. Like that was like, shit. Like things have changed in the past 3 months. I learned the other day that our biggest e-commerce, and well, they're like omni-channel. They also have a lot of real estate, which is I think why they're distressed. Dover Sadlery, they do $140 million a year annually in revenue. I just found out that they canceled all of their spring, summer, and fall inventory orders.
Wow.
I am doing a raise right now because I want to crank up my inventory. I mean, this is the time. So for me, there's like not as much risk in owning inventory. If you know what you're looking for and what to avoid, there's not as much downside to owning inventory in this industry if you can get it for the right margin. And
I love when founders are in this position. You're not raising because you're distressed. You're raising because of the opportunity, which is so powerful. And that's how every founder should go into any capital raise. Not, we're running out of cash. Nope. You're saying we're going to be fine regardless.
I just did a deal. I just bought out a tack shop in Colorado for like baked in 20% discount.